Okay, Article P70, resolution of anti-corruption laws to fit right in here. So,
Good segue.
That's a good segue.
good segue.
Kind of
This
drives
is a-
my wife crazy how I look at the glass being half empty.
Dan, we've never noticed that at all.
That's-
We never see
it
you
really
as
is.
having a
It's a shocker.
difference in opinion.
Pessimist, maybe?
Half empty or half full? I'm not sure what.
That's half empty.
Half empty.
You look at the size of the glass.
You might need to stand with the mouse in your hand, or...
I'm told you have 34 slides? Oh, okay.
I'm hoping to keep it under 5 minutes. You mind if I borrow some water?
Three or four slides would be fine, but not 34. So,
No, no, no. Those are all just for me, just in case there's questions.
right.
Okay, that's yours, yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, tell us who you are. This is your, it's a private article, right?
Yep, private article, Tom Hartwell, 12 Lillian Terrace.
Yeah.
Junior must be, huh?
Junior.
Wow.
You know,
There's one Tom Hartwell here. He's a legend.
There is DNA there, but I don't know how much else is.
Wow.
Whoa.
I meant that in a
It didn't
positive
take him
way.
long, John. It didn't take him long, right under the bus.
Wow.
There, here, where, does it matter? Is this
Wherever you're comfortable.
Wherever you're comfortable, just let her rip.
All right. The purpose of this is to give you guys context on the resolution or the article. So the first thing, corruption is legal in America. So I'm actually in software development, and when I say corruption, it's not a moral judgment. It's more of a design flaw. So when you actually have a corrupt app or file, it's essentially not that the developer who actually wrote the code is actually a bad person or amoral. It's actually that there was a design flaw, design in the architecture of the system that caused that bug to actually happen. So the fact that the job description of a politician in the US has become primarily a fundraiser is a design problem. It's broken and must be fixed now. Actually, before I go there, the core flaw of the current system is the concentration of the fundraiser or the funders. There's a betrayal of the fundamental commitment of the representative democracy, that our government dependent on the people, where the people means not the rich more than the poor. So any relationship that adds any dependence by a representative to attain office beyond the dependency of the people epitomizes corruption. So the funding dependence on a small population of moneyed special interests is a betrayal of our right to equality of citizenship and the right for all of us to have an equal say on how our government works. So you might say, hey, Tom, that's great in theory, but how do we know that there's an actual problem there? So in 2014, there's this study that took place, Princeton Northwestern, published the results of a study that looked at 20 years of opinion surveys and data around laws around this one question: does the government represent the people? Their study took data from 2,000 public opinion surveys and compared it to the policies that ended up becoming law. And in other words, they sort of, this is the likelihood that a law becomes valid, and this is the support that the people actually give it. So in a perfect democracy, you've got this line that goes, 0% of people support it, 0% should actually become law, 100% of people support it, 100% should become law. That's ideally what it should be. The reality is, this is what our republic currently looks like. If there's 100% support, there's a 30% chance that it'll actually become law. If there's no one supporting it, 30% actually a chance of becoming law. So there is one exception. That is the bottom 90% of income. The top 10% looks like this. As you can see, it's actually more representative or more aligned to the ideal scenario. So if someone in a wealthy situation, they have a very good chance of making sure that law does not become a reality. And a more likely scenario than the average representative population that it actually does become law. So this is the reality, and this is essentially what we want to change. So what does corruption look like? So this is how a bill becomes a law today. A special interest hires some lobbyists. The lobbyists collect campaign contributions, offer jobs, writes laws to Congress, then passes that then help the same special interests. You essentially can pick some of your favorite issues, and some of this actually processes this way. So how does this happen? Well, it comes back to Congress's current primary job description. Members of Congress now spend 30 to 70% of their time fundraising, not governing. The fastest way for them to raise money, who can afford it the most? There's a bunch of studies, and I can supply you guys the references to all this stuff, but 91% of the time, the candidate with the most amount of money wins. 2/3 of the political donations come from just 0.2% of the Americans. That's a significant amount of dollars coming from a very few amount of people. And I mentioned how much time they actually spend fundraising. So something that's also good to know, Sunlight Foundation published a study in 2014 looking at the previous 5 years of activity for the 200 most politically active companies in the US. They actually spent $5.8 billion, and they found that there's actually $4 trillion with a T in taxpayer subsidies and support that they actually get from, that exchange of fundraising that they actually give to the candidates. That's a 750 times their return in investment. And that doesn't include all the other special interests, unions, trade associations, and billionaires in the mix. This is just 200 of the politically most active companies. So what's the solution? The solution is make corruption illegal. We have this American Anti-Corruption Act. I'm part of a group, Represent Us, working with a bunch of different towns, Concord, Lexington being amongst them. We want to get a bunch of town resolutions. I'd love to pass this in Andover and see some of the things that we want to do. So we want to eliminate bribery, lobbying or donate, not both. You can lobby. We're all lobbying up here, but there's a donation thing. So as an example, say I work for the Senate Banking Committee, I shouldn't be able to take money from banks. I regulate, if I'm regulating them, I shouldn't be able to take money. We also want to close the revolving door, preventing folks from taking jobs from industries they regulate. And we also want to change the way that some of these elections are funded. We also want to end secret money. It maintains full transparency so the American people know who is trying to buy our elected officials. There's gaps today. And we need to strengthen agencies to have an independent, non-partisan ethics committee. So lastly, you may or may not know that there's there's this public integrity group that does this nationwide rating. In 2015, they gave us a D+ on corruption. You may know that 3 consecutive speakers of the Massachusetts State House have been convicted of felonies and forced to resign. And there's actually been over a half dozen more folks since sweeping ethics reform in 2009 was passed in Massachusetts. So there's still work to do. The purpose of this resolution is to support tough new state and federal anti-corruption legislation, remove temptations that cause our elected officials to represent a minority of the wealthy interests over the interests of the majority of citizens, and it does not call for a particular passage of a particular legislation because none has been drafted at this time, but it recognizes that we have a serious problem that we want to communicate to be addressed by this type of legislation. So this is part of a nationwide, nonpartisan effort. Like I mentioned, there's a bunch of towns in Mass. We want to actually have a resolution on the ballot for 2018, a ballot initiative to actually pass. And love your support to actually, push that forward. And just so you know, I had I talked with Larry and we talked about some language changes. I put this together a while back, and so there is a variance between the original resolution and this resolution. I don't know how you guys want to talk about that, but that's essentially what I got.
What's in the warrant?
Sorry?
The updated one in the warrant?
Yeah, so the updated one is not in the warrant.
So you'd have to make the change
You
at
have to
town
make
meeting
it-
floor.
make
Yeah, and that's what, and so if that's the only option, then, wait for that.
What are the changes?
So essentially, in the previous one, it's like the law must be this, and we're sort of changing it laws such as these, so it's less sort of, these are the laws, these are ideas that we want to sort of pass.
This is a statement, right? This is,
Yeah, it's a
you're looking
statement.
for
We're
the
sending-
town meeting to
Support
to
statement.
support this statement. Like a couple of years ago, I think there was a statement that talked against Citizens United.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it didn't go anywhere. I think there was a vote on it. Towns voted for it, but it,
Oh, I didn't even know that happened.
yeah, about 2 years ago, we had a Citizens United, similar person like yourself came and promoted it, and the town voted for it, but, I think a few towns voted for it,
Nothing really came of it.
Nothing
Well, that's
came
good
of it.
information, because I was looking for that type of information. I didn't find it, so thank you.
It's happened before, too. where
Any
some-
other cities and towns passed this already?
So we have 30
Or show
towns.
support for it, I should say.
30 towns that are in the queue. Most of them are, a later time period in the coming months. So as of right now, no. But I think the next one is, I think it's Concord or Lexington are the first ones up on the list. So,
Has our board taken positions on stuff like this in the past?
We didn't on no, we've taken, last time the Citizens United, we took a no position.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly goes to town meeting, and presentation can be done, and town meeting can have their say, and,
There really has no, it's.
but as far as the
doesn't have any-
boards,
Any teeth, or it's not passing something that's gonna change anything. It's more of an opinion type of thing where it's a statement.
correct.
That's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, it's essentially that there's public
It's about
support
us.
in the town of Andover for.
What's that?
So-
It's about us, too.
so we as a board may not vote on this, whether to endorse it or not, but we as individuals at town meeting would be voting,
You
kind of our
One way or the
independent
other.
will on this, right?
Sure.
I think that's the way the customary,
Yeah, that's what
I would.
is that right?
usually just no opinion.
We
and
just
then-
take no position
no
and let
position,
it go to
and
the
then-
floor,
and we individuals.
and individually, everybody
Yeah.
votes, right? Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah,
We
I
had-
would
That's what we did
Yeah, I
with that
think
other
so.
one.
Did we have a pipeline one, too, at one time?
I don't remember that one.
Maybe that was just something that was brought to the
There was
board.
one about 10 years ago. I remember Citizens United was the most recent.
Yeah. I mean, it's an impressive presentation. It's great work. I'm sure you're going to have great success at town meeting with it.
Thank you.
This does include union donations as well, right? I'm not sure I saw it anywhere in there.
Yeah, any special interests,
Yeah,
trade
that's something.
associations, unions, billionaires, corporations, it's the mix of special interests.
And your goal is to have the local approval bring this towards a ballot question in
Yeah, so the goal of
Massachusetts.
this is to influence legislators at the state level
Yeah.
for us. So we want to build some political capital at the town level.
Yeah, and who's the "we", like what organization?
Yeah, Represent Us is the name of the organization.
Represent Us, okay.
Yeah.
I think your example of the 3 speakers in Massachusetts is a really good one.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right.
3 of them were convicted, and yeah.
That's good feedback, because I'm also interested in
And
more
actually, the
feedback.
current one it was considered an unindicted co-conspiracy with the pension, with the parole thing
It's all
a
fake
couple of
news.
years ago.
You're adding to the case.
No, that's as real as it gets.
Yeah.
Right.
An interesting correlation you'd made mention about not working for the industry. Town of Andover has a clause in its town charter which says member of the Board of Selectmen can't work for the town of Andover for 5 years.
It's in our charter,
That's in
yeah.
our charter.
Yeah,
So it's pretty
wow.
forward-thinking, I'll say,
right.
for the inclusion into the charter.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's consistent with what we want to do.
Right,
at the state.
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, so the board does not want to take a position? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Just as a matter, of customary.
policy, yeah.
I get it.
Right.
Okay. So,
Thank you.
Thanks,
thank you.
Tom.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job.